What did you think about the start today?
Well, it's good to be back on the field. That's one thing. The thing that's obvious to me right now, we got a bunch of guys that care, that want to do things right, that go hard. That's a great place to start. I think that's where most great defenses are built. I thought the organization and detail of just everything that went on today was very good. So really good day one practice.
You're going into a league that has a reputation for high-powered offenses. What's the challenge like as a defensive coordinator scheming for that kind of league and those kind of teams?
Well, just that. We're going to be facing a lot of great talent. We're going to be facing a lot of teams that put up points and yards. But, I mean, it's no different than college football anywhere else. I mean, you're going to have to every day line up and stop the run. You're going to have to line up and tackle well. You're going to have to line up and, defend passes on third downs. So I think we focus more on just the task at hand. How do we get better each day right now? And obviously we'll take one opponent at a time as we get to the season.
What are the key objectives? You touched on improving each day, but what are the key objectives over the next few weeks as you get ready for the season?
Well, establishing depth is critical right now. We got to figure out who our playmakers are, who we can most rely on when we need a play that's got to be made. Who are those guys that are going to step up and make it? We have a lot of new faces. We've taken some transfers out of the portal. We've taken a bunch of young freshmen that have just joined us that we expect to be really good players. So I would say depth, getting better with assignments and scheme is going to be critical, and then just finding out exactly who we are and our identity and personality.
You've coached on successful defenses at the P5 level before. What's kind of the characteristics that are common threads that have led to successes for those past defenses that you can apply to this year?
Well, great players, number one. I think the scheme and techniques and the fundamentals that you teach are critical, but none of it matters if you don't have great players. So we need players to step up. They got to learn the schemes, they got to learn the systems, and then bottom line, great defense comes down to being tough, discipline, and tackling.
Is there any personnel that you're expecting to arrive in camp at a later date?
There are a couple guys still that will join us here in the next couple of days. I can't comment on some of them that haven't joined yet. So, yeah, there will be some that will be joining us still.
As you looked at today, did anybody stand out for you? I know you haven't looked at the film yet, but just the eyeball test from watching.
Standouts today, I liked the interior D lineman. I thought I saw Caden Hawes show up a couple times. Nice Amahe showed up a couple times. Eddie Heckard looked really good in coverage. Jacob Robinson. I really like the corner group. That group's coming along. We added some really good depth to that group, and we got some good young players that are going to step up. The backer depth is probably the biggest improvement that I've seen from spring ball to now. Is that group got really deep, really fast, and with a lot of guys that can play.
Eddie obviously was a standout for you at Weber State. How much of a difference maker is he going to be in that secondary for you?
Well, we expect him to play great, and if he does what he's done throughout his career, he will do that. And he's smart enough to know that he doesn't have to make every play. He needs to make the ones that he's supposed to make. He needs to be in the right positions at the right time, because the reality is with Jacob Robinson and Cam Garrett, Maury Bamba, and the other corners, I mean, the reality is those guys can play, they can cover. He doesn't have to do everything. He's just got to be himself.
Spring ball was pretty physical. Do you expect to be as physical in fall camp?
No, not as physical as spring, but we got to be able to hit. We got to be able to tackle. We got to get after each other a little bit. It's still football, and football's won by tackling and blocking and being physical. If you don't do that stuff, I worry about injuries down the road, but you also don't want to be dumb and go out there and just beat your team up. So we got to be smart, we got to be physical, but we got to gauge on how much that is.
How imperative is it that you get your best guys to week one, or do you expect attrition in camp, having done this as long as you have?
Well, those guys got to practice. If you just always hold them out, it seems like they get hurt in the first couple games. That's not the key to staying healthy. The key to staying healthy is those guys need to practice. We got to be smart. They don't need to take every live rep, but those guys need to practice. They need to be sharp. The ones that are sharp are the ones that usually stay the healthiest. Knuckleheads, huh? Ben and Max. You know what? It's so good to have those guys back. They add great players, to the starters, and then that just creates so much depth in that linebacker group. So it's good to have them back. They were a little rusty today, I'll tell you that, but that's to be expected. I mean, when you don't go through spring ball and you haven't played since before the surgeries they both had, they're going to be a little bit rusty, but I expect those guys to be phenomenal players here and really standing out in the next couple days.
What's been your early impressions of Montclair?
Love him. I mean, he was one of the guys when he went in the portal. I loved him when he was a freshman, when he was a sophomore at Utah State. As soon as he went in the portal, he was a guy I knew I wanted just because I had seen him play so many times. And he adds a really smart, intelligent, savvy football player to our group. So he's a good addition to what we're doing.
Staying on the linebackers, what about Harrison Taggart?
Yeah, he showed the speed and athleticism that he was known for in high school and what made him such a high caliber recruit. That showed up today. Like I said, that group is deep, and you're going to have to be a really good player to get on the field this year in that group.
How excited are you just to kind of focus on practices instead of recruiting and official visits and just kind of getting back to X's and O's?
So this is the best time of the year. I mean, it's like Christmas every day for us. We get to come. We actually get to be football coaches and do the stuff that we love. We love coming out on the grass. We love getting our guys together. We like the camaraderie of what, you're trying to create as a football team. So, I mean, football for a football coach is like Christmas Day every day. So.
You got to focus on these boys, but do you pay much attention to the world stuff, the realignment stuff, all that talk? I mean, obviously this is the main priority, but is that something that gets talked about a lot or looked at?
No, I mean, do we hear rumors and rumblings and things that could happen or are happening? We do, but really, as a football coach, you try to stay one day at a time or 1 week at a time. You can't get too caught up in everything else that could happen. So I try to stay away from a lot of the rumors or some of the stuff that could happen.
Coach, Jay, are you all settled in Utah County? You got a home here?
Yeah, we're finally Utah County people. So we're not commuting anymore. It's good to be down here. I got an 8-minute drive instead of a 80-minute drive. So,
Coach, players tend to kind of take on the identity of the coordinators. What do you want to rub off on your players that could become their identity?
Well, the love for the game. I mean, that's one thing that's always been a passion of mine. I love the game. I love when the game's played the right way. So just with excitement, energy, passion. I hope they pick up on that. But then the details of it too. You don't have to be the most athletic guy to be a great player. You got to be detailed. You got to be disciplined. You got to outsmart your opponent. And a lot of times you can outwork those guys. So I hope they take on all those details of what, I think it requires to be a great player. Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Coach.